First time father's thoughts and feelings. I have 5 children, 2 of my own and 3 that I raised. I was 26 years old when I had my firstborn. I was a manager working at a car wash near West Hartford. I remember being very anxious since my wife was pregnant and due any day. I was still delegating at work and also running other parts of the car wash. But the thoughts of my firstborn child entering this already crazy world weighed heavily on my mind. I was very eager to be ready and prepared. So in between work, I ordered more diapers and baby-friendly items for the apartment. One day after a long day of work, I came home to a very exhausted and anxious wife. She informed me that she was having pain and that it wasn't going away. So being overly cautious as I am, we called the doctor and we were told to come to the hospital. This was the point in my life where I had the most anxiety I ever had. I was thinking to myself, do I have all the bags? Am I missing anything else? I think I spent more time worrying what I was missing than rushing out the door. My wife was ready to go, so we left. When we arrived at the hospital, we were greeted by the nurses and brought to a room to get settled. I was instructed to relax and go to my wife. She was then hooked up to all the necessary monitors to make sure her and the baby were doing well. It was a long night. When the time came to meet my son, I smiled and held my wife's hand. We were both very emotional, but we wouldn't have it any other way. Even though I have 5 children, each time one was born, I felt both amazing and terrified. You will never forget the birth of your first child. Your mind begins to race at 1,000,000 miles per hour, and you're overcome with emotion. I had a better understanding of what my parents had undoubtedly felt and gone through. When you have more than just your significant other to care and provide for, you begin to plan and move in new directions. Nothing prepares you for your first child as a new proud father, even after taking first-time parenting classes. Because I am the oldest of my siblings and cousins, my parents and grandparents were very happy. My only sister was overjoyed for me and eager to spoil my child. I wasn't going to let that happen. She already had 3 children to worry about at the time. I looked after her when she needed it. I always felt that way being the eldest sibling. My mother was overjoyed. She had assumed that since I was always working, she would never be a grandmother. My grandmother, I believe, was even more ecstatic than my mother. She volunteered to make sure to assist my wife in the months following her delivery. I tried to tell myself to calm down and spend more time at home, but my thoughts began to race. Is there enough food to go around? Is there anything more that my son requires? It was very overwhelming. I got many different ideas on what to do from different friends and family. One idea was to hang the baby upside down when it was crying. I'm just kidding. Although one idea from a friend was to let them continue to cry so they can learn to soothe themselves. I took bits and pieces from the advice I received and I made it my own. I made it work for my family. My eldest is now 18 and my youngest is 7. In retrospect, I now know I overanalyzed everything when it came down to preparing for their births. When I reflect about the births of my children, I admit that I may have overreacted slightly. I should have listened to my instincts a little more. Even after all the emotions I've felt and gone through with my children, I still feel anxious. But the joy of being a father comes with being worried, yet providing for my children. Nevertheless, I'm happy that I was able to, and am now able, to give them what I consider a nice life.